welcome to your May 2015 entry in the Great Film Throwback Project, and boy do I have one for you guys. I mean, this is a movie that I have known and is so intertwined in pop culture, and even though I haven't been the biggest fan of Stanley Kubrick's work, I knew in my heart of hearts that this is a movie that just had to be seen, and that is Stanley Kubrick's opus, as far as I'm concerned, because when you compare it to movies like Dr. Strangelove and 2001: A Space Odyssey, those movies don't even hold a candle to A Clockwork Orange, of course based on the dystopian future crazy novel written by Anthony Burgess. And I will say that if there was any movie that made Stanley Kubrick a pop culture name, this was the movie that made him that name. This also introduced us to a young actor at the time who is now, to me, one of the greatest of all time, Mr. Malcolm McDowell as Alex DeLarge. And this movie is so out there and so original, and even though I don't think it's one of the better movies that I have seen, it is definitely a true sight to behold and a true treasure in the world of film. One of the things that I would totally say, and if you disagree, please put your comments in the box below, but the way that this movie was created in terms of the colors, in terms of the wide space, the camera angles, the way that the story was being told through the actors and the narrations, do you not see Wes Anderson written all over this movie? You can totally tell that Wes Anderson got such an inspiration from the way that Stanley Kubrick filmed his movies. And this movie is so bizarre and so crazy, and even though there are so many people that feel that it doesn't make sense, I understood the plot very, very well. It's the story of a future that's completely gone mad, and Alex and his droogs just like to pillage and rape and beat up people and just have a grand old time in a world without order. But then one day, life isn't as dandy as Alex thought it would be because he is officially betrayed and caught, and then he is supposedly put right through this brand new experiment done by medical professionals, and then he becomes a law-abiding citizen, only to realize that now, after making victims of everybody, he becomes the victim himself. This movie is definitely put together well. I appreciate the colors. I appreciated the acting of Malcolm McDowell. I will never look at Gene Kelly singing Singing in the Rain the same way again, even though I have seen that scene in so many top 10 lists from WatchMojo.com and other specials like on VH1, but to actually see that and the whole movie in its entirety, it's a very disturbing movie. I also would like to let you all know that when this movie came out in 1971, it was so ahead of its time and had a lot of male and female frontal nudity that this movie was actually rated X. It's rated R now, but yeah, this is actually my very first rated X/NC-17 movie that I have ever seen on my own. So I give myself a pat on the back for finally seeing a movie like A Clockwork Orange. I also love the way that the score was put together by Walter Carlos, who is now known as Wendy Carlos. I don't know if that means what I think it means, but if it does or it doesn't, please put your comments in the box below. But I also appreciated the way that classical composers' work was actually interweaved into this story. Like, you heard famous songs like the William Tell Overture, of course Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, and one of my personal favorites, Pomp and Circumstance. But all in all, a crazy, original, in-your-face story of a world gone mad and the man who finds himself in this world. Is this a movie that I would probably see again? I would say yes, but it's not a movie that I see myself owning, but I give true props to it, and I also feel that for the greater good, it's a movie that a lot of people may not enjoy. They'll definitely be bewildered and be scratching their heads and maybe a little disturbed from what they watch, but I just don't feel that this movie is going to get the overall great consensus from the general movie-going public. But am I glad that I finally saw Clockwork Orange? Absolutely. It's a movie that I would recommend anybody to see at least once. I definitely get it now. It is truly one of Stanley Kubrick's greatest classics. I don't think it's his best movie, but it is definitely one of the most unique, original, and no-holds-barred movie that I have ever seen in my life, and I am going to give A Clockwork Orange 3 out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody, and I'm looking forward to another great film throwback day next month, and actions speak louder than words.